Watch the ride.
Hey everybody, I'm down at Andy Sills and Southsea again today, and this time I'm taking out this Honda CB500F. And this should be interesting because obviously my other half has a CBR500R and I know that bike quite well, so to try the naked version should be a lot of fun. I've managed to forget to bring a memory card for that camera and a spare one, which is very unlike me, so I'm going to go and buy one on my way out of Portsmouth, because I want to get that camera going for when we get down to the country roads, because of course that is my plan. I always have a little play in the city and then get into the country roads and try it out there. I like the seating position already, nice and upright compared to the CBR500R, which is, it's a comfy bike for me, but it's a little bit cramped because I'm 6'4". It's no great surprise that the engine sounds and feels the same as the CBR500R because, well, it's the same engine. 47 brake horsepower, A2 legal, there's no restrictions required for this one. I am loving the length of the bars on this though. So often with these sorts of bikes they put skinny little bars, so you end up feeling like you're like on a little scoot like this in the middle. But with nice big bars like this you really can command the front end around, and it makes the front end feel great. I mean, I imagine because the handling of the CBR500R is very good, this should be even better. Naked, more upright, so it's better for me. Oh, this is going to start a debate, isn't it? Is that yellow or green? I mean, to me it looks... It is. Oh, God, give me a minute. And I've got to really think about this. I'm going to get slaughtered by the internet, guaranteed by 50% anyway, because everyone will just say the opposite. Okay, it looks yellow, but there's definitely a little bit of green in it. So, are we going to say that it's a very yellowy lime green? I don't know, but I like it. I cannot believe I didn't remember to bring the memory card for that. I always have a whole set routine of like clearing memory cards, and I always have a spare in my battery case, but I threw one of the battery cases on the side because the battery in that one was dead. It also so happens to be the one with my spare SD card. There is one thing you need to be aware of with the Hondas though, and it's something that thankfully I have just about got used to, and I haven't hit the horn yet, but where the indicator should be is where the horn is, and the indicator is underneath it. So if you're used to nearly every other brand of motorcycle out there and you got to change the indicator without knowing, you're just going to keep hitting the horn. So you have to just learn that your thumb has to go lower. When I jump between, you know, bikes that don't have it that way and Reno's CBR, and I've managed to get to the point now I don't make mistakes, although occasionally I have to look down and go, right, where is it? There it is. Which is not ideal, but obviously if you're on one bike you will completely get used to it. This bike is available for sale at Andy's right now. I'm afraid I don't know the price on it. I didn't find that out. If I find out, I'll put it on the screen. If I don't, give him a buzz. See what I mean about having to look down just to be sure. Oh, I like the handling of this. Okay, cool. Glad the ghosts can cross again. So yeah, as I was saying, the engine is a parallel twin liquid cooled 500cc or 498 or whatever it is. It is a very smooth engine with lots and lots of torque. You do feel a nice little rumble through the bike, especially if you get on the throttle a bit in lower gears. Well, hold on, which one is it? Is it this one I want? Not. Mistake. Oh, well, good chance for a turn in the road. What was that? Unsurprisingly, very easy bike to manoeuvre around. Of course, the engine braking on this is absolutely fantastic. I really very much do like the CBR engine. It's a good, sweet little fun engine. And there we go, we have a second camera. Huge thanks to my Patreon supporters, because your supporters just paid for that memory card. It's always good to have extras, especially if you carry them with you. Let's see what it gets like off the line. Well, there's 50. There's a big gap behind me. And then just engine braking. And then just a tiny bit of front. It's great. It's a really, really good engine. It does feel like, you know, it revs up and it's got this power, and then it kind of like just goes, and lets off before you think it's really going to build. But that's because it's 47, 48 brake horsepower. You know, this is made to be A2 compliant. Now, come on, don't rain on me. I am slightly concerned the country roads are going to be completely wet because we've had a lot of storms and only a day or so of no rain to have a chance of clearing it out. But I'm still going to go down there, I'm still going to have fun. Right, I've got out of the city, I'm up on the hill near the country roads. It's looking sunny over there, so that's quite nice. I thought let's have a little closer look at the bike so you can see it. This is a 2016 bike. It's got, I think it's about 10,000 miles or less than that on it. It's not many miles at all, considering it's been used for commuting. There is a little bit of rust on the ABS ring, which is actually pretty standard for the Hondas. There's a little bit of rust on some of the metal work up here, but it's just those bits in there. And, you know, a weekend's work, so just take that apart, rub it down with some sandpaper, respray it, and it will be perfect. Other than that, like those couple of bits of rust there, I actually can't see anything on this which is a concern of anything. This has got the stock exhaust on it, and it's quite surprising how close that actually sounds to my other half CBR500R, which has got an Akrapovic exhaust can on it. It doesn't have the cap removed, but it has the can. And it is a little deeper, it is a little bassier, but it's not hugely louder. There's a few pieces of plastic that, you know, is a little bit sun faded, but you can get some creams and things you put on that and it turns it back to black. I've used it on my Extra 6, it's great. Yeah, you got a little bit of sort of paint missing on there, but otherwise, the actual paintwork, the bodywork, it's all great. Come on then, Porsche man! Okay, 40 to 60. Just hit the rev limiter. I have to remember that this is a used bike, and it actually feels fantastic. There's nothing rattling or anything about it I don't like the feel of. The brakes feel great, don't trust you. Gearbox feels great, everything feels good and tight on this bike, good thing. Oh, there goes Porsche man. Yeah, the handling on this thing is absolutely great. I'm really liking this, you know, small engine, plenty of torque, lots of engine braking, good brakes, and obviously ABS, as I mentioned, the ABS ring is a little rusty. Good sized handlebars to give you a good amount of control over the front end. I am loving this. Now, national speed limit, but I don't know what the roads are actually like yet. So it's a little muddy looking. Another interesting thing is when you get into like 5th or 6th gear, up to about 60 miles an hour, nearly all the vibrations you feel from the engine and the bike at all go away and it becomes very, very smooth. It's like that's the happiest balance point. Right, it normally gets flooded down here, so I'm really apprehensive of coming around a corner into just slick mud. No, it's starting to get muddier. And that's the other thing about an engine of this size and this power is you can get through a couple of gears and, you know, and yes, you are going faster, but you're not going stupidly fast. I can already tell you now I love this bike. This is a great frame. Good suspension. You know, it's not the most sporty suspension, but it is forgiving enough in the bumps. The brakes are good enough. The engine's sweet, as I've mentioned. This is just it's perfect. It is small engine biking fun with the ability to sit on a motorway comfortably at 70. And it's an A2. I have a full A. I would be happy riding this bike around. The mirrors on this are great because they're nice and big, they're actually usable, and I've always said this, if you're going to have mirrors on your bike, you might as well make them big and functional, opposed to having tiny little ones which are still there, but they don't actually do any great good for you. I tell you what, if you're looking for an A2 bike as your very first bike, something like this would be absolutely perfect for you because it's quick enough to have fun, but it's still rideable at lower speeds. It's easy to control because it's got a nice torquey engine which will make it easier to not stall. It's a great starting point. And this is the thing, I very often find the starting points are the really funnest points, and then you move on to something more serious and bigger, and all of a sudden the fun goes away with it. I mean, it's a different type of fun, yeah, admittedly, you know, super fast, but it's not the same joyful, carefree laugh fun, you know what I'm saying? Wow, that's very, very mossy. Jesus! Tree roots that way across the road are a problem. Tree roots that way are, you know, longitudinally, are lethal. Let's go. Yeah, straight up to 60. And you actually get to play with the engine a bit, you know? Logs. Oh, logs. First it said OGs, then it said OGs, and then you realise it was logs. It's got great weight in the steering. Just makes the bike feel, it's not heavy steering, it's just you can feel it as you get into the corners. It resists you, so you've got something to work against. It's nice and enjoyable and fun and responsive and everything you want out of a bike. And I'm thinking, well, what could you do to it to improve it? Well, alright, it could do it being a little bit more throaty, but that's just an exhaust. What the hell is going on with these roads? How would I improve it? Not riding it on these sodding roads anymore. It's also quite upright, which makes it really comfortable. Now I have got long arms, so that makes it me a little bit more upright, but it's really comfortable as well. Mud. Narrow. Whoa, yes. It's slippery out here. But like then when it lost it a little bit, it's so mellow, it doesn't freak out. It just goes, oh, and you just deal with it. It's great. Right, that camera turned itself off, which is probably related to the vibrations. Hopefully not the memory card I bought, but that is very annoying that it happened to not work at that moment. So, the Honda CB500F versus the Honda CB500R. Obviously, totally different looks in bikes. They do have a different seating position. I like both of them. I actually prefer the seating position of this one and the handling of this one because of the longer bars, which is something I've always said, so that's very much a personal thing. I have no complaints about this bike for what it is. It is everything that someone on A2 wants and needs. Hello, 6th gear, 60 mile an hour, cruising up a hill at 4,500 RPM. And I can just roll on and it'll pick up speed, even in 6th, because it's got the torque. What are we following here? Little three-wheeler. If you want to see the CBR500R in the same roads, just recently I made one called like CBR Shakedown. It's because I just fixed my other half's CBR and took it out for a test ride. As for this specific bike that you can buy, I can tell you that it feels absolutely fresh. There's nothing tired about this at all. The brakes are all working great, the gearbox is lovely, clutch is all feeling good, everything is great. The only thing is it's got a couple of bit of rusty bits on it, which is literally a weekend's work. And like 15 quid. Just take the front off, sand down those bits of metal, give them a spray paint, checking on the other bits. I don't know if I'd even bother trying to spray clean up the ABS ring. The reason I say that is because I did that to Reno's CBR500R and it took like 3 weeks before it was back to pure rust again. I suppose you could spray them, but I didn't want to try that because I don't know if that interferes with the ABS. It shouldn't, because it's just a hole and a sensor, but yeah, I don't think the colour of the surface of it makes any difference, so you could always paint them, but double check that fact. obviously. It's going to be windier on this than on the R, most likely, without all the extra fairings. But then I'm tall, so I sit above all that anyway, so I'm just going to get blasted by wind. So it's not really a fair comparison, and that's why I haven't bothered doing it. I just wanted to know what this was like in general, because I knew it was going to be a nice bike to ride around. I knew it would be fun in the country roads. I didn't know I'd gel with it like this immediately. Like, within 2 minutes, me and this bike, we're best as buddy pals. We've known each other for years. We're finishing each other's sentences, apart from when you try and shut me off. Now, I'm aware that what I like in bikes is quite different to what a lot of other people like in bikes, in the sense of, you know, for some people, or many people, speed is key. Top speed. If this does 150 and that does 160, well then I want that, because it's 10 miles an hour faster. Even though you might not be able to actually go that quickly through the corners, because, you know, it hasn't got the same handling, or something like that. This just ticks those boxes so well for me. There we go. Filtering is possible. The bars are slightly... Wow, that's smoking a lot. The bars are slightly wider than some other things. You've got to be aware of that. But as the bars are the widest part of the bike, you can gauge it that way. In fact, the only thing I think I would change on this, I've just realised, is the levers. The stock levers for me are a little bit thin. I like something with a bit more chonk to them. But that's like that. I'm having to complain that the levers are a bit skinny. That's my only real criticism of this thing. Well, here we are back at Andy Sills, and I can say that this is firmly one of my favourite bikes I've ever ridden. It's just that much fun, and I'm not joking. It's just, I've just gelled with it so well. Huge thanks to Andy Sills down in Southsea once again. Really appreciate that. If you like this video, like the video. If you're not subscribed, please consider doing that. And if you'd like to help support this channel, you can do that through Patreon, and it helps pay for things like memory cards. There's also PayPal for one-off things, where some people are like, I help you once a year, but I don't want to do the Patreon thing because of whatever. It's all there if you want to do it. Links in the description. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.